Are we live? Welcome everyone to our 11th week and our 75th Native Wellness Power Hour. We're happy that you're here. I'm Jillene.
I'm Will. Hello everybody. Welcome.
And so a little bit about what we're doing and a little bit about the Native Wellness Institute. So my name is Jillene Joseph, and I come from the Aani people of Fort Belknap, Montana. And my family and I and Will, we live here in Oregon. This is the headquarters of the Native Wellness Institute. And this year we're celebrating our 20th anniversary. So we're super excited about that, and we have all kinds of amazing things lined up for the rest of our year. So usually about 80% of our work is spent out in tribal communities, and because of everything that's going on, the pandemic, we had to take everything virtually. And we knew that an already traumatized people would be re-traumatized with this pandemic. And so we thought quickly, and we came up with this idea to do the Native Wellness Power Hours. So every day, 7 days a week, for 1 hour, we offer different kinds of programming. So we offer workshops, storytelling, comedy, poetry readings, all kinds of things. And today we're doing a cooking show. And so we're gonna cook one of my favorite meals and Will's kind of favorite meal. One of the kids' favorite meals. Just a way to share what we do in our home, and maybe you'll be inspired to try something in your home too. So we're happy that you're here. We've had lots of supporters for our power hours: the National Indian Child Welfare Association, the Noise Foundation, and now our recent sponsor, the Indian Collective. So we're grateful for the funding that has come through to make these possible, and we have more partners coming as well. So anyway, we're happy to be here, and we're happy to have you here. So today we're gonna kind of go back and forth. I'm gonna cook a few things. Will's gonna cook a few things, and we're gonna do our last dish together. The last dish, you won't see the end product, but you'll get to see what it is at the beginning. And if you haven't downloaded the Scratch and Sniff app, then you can do that now, so you can smell these good aromas. Okay. I'm just kidding, but I don't know why I like to say that joke. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here and start with the green beans. So this is for my next thing. Okay, so I like to like when I go out to eat or when I watch cooking shows. I like to watch cooking shows. So when I go out to eat and I find something that I like to go home and try to recreate it. And this particular dish, I was trying to think about where I learned how to make it. And I think it was a cooking show, actually, a long time ago, like when my kids were little. I saw this green bean dish, and I made it, and then my kids loved it. I love it. So I make this a lot, and it's super, super easy. So these are just fresh green beans. Some of you might have some growing in your garden right now. These are store-bought. We do have some green beans in our garden. And then I used to snap like both ends off, but I don't do that anymore. I only snap the one end off that kind of has the, where it attaches to the plant. I snap that off, but I just leave that other end, like this kind of end. I just leave it because it's edible, right? So anyway, you just spread your green beans on a cookie sheet. If you don't have a cookie sheet, you could use like a cake pan or something like that. So I just kind of evenly spread them out like that. And then, where did that, hold on. You don't have to come over here. I thought I had everything ready. So this is just some extra virgin olive oil. And I just sprinkle it over the beans like this. Like not too much. And then I just kind of like shake my pan around a little bit so I don't have to touch it. My hands get all oily. So I just kind of shake it around like that. And then pre-pandemic, like in my travels and stuff, I like to pick up different kinds of salt and bring it back. And like when I watch these cooking shows, they always have these little salt things, And I actually bought this last year, 2 years ago, around this time, Will was busy healing from cancer. and we were in the hospital for a month. And so like this quarantine kind of isn't that big of a deal because I stayed with him and we were quarantined for a month in there. But after that, after his year of healing, on March 8th, he was declared cancer-free. Yay! Yay, Will! And a few months later, we went to celebrate, and we celebrated in Maui, and we took a family trip to Maui. And while I was there, I bought this. It's this little bamboo container, and the lid flips over like that. And inside of it is like this really good salt from Hawaii. And so for this dish, then, I just use my fingers. But I just take some salt, and then I just sprinkle it on top of the green beans, like that. And just depending, how much salt. So this is, it's a quart. This is called like grilling salt. And there's I don't know if you can see in there, but it's kind of pink. And then there's different other kinds of things in there. So this salt comes from Hawaii. If you don't have this kind of salt, then you can just use, regular salt and just put a little bit of salt on here. And then we're going to put it in the oven, and we're going to broil it. So we're gonna broil it in the oven. So I'm gonna put it in the oven, and I put my rack kind of down like in the middle, so it doesn't like burn too much. And excuse our oven, like we use good old duct tape to close it because it's broke right now, but that's okay. So we're gonna broil it for about 15 or 20 minutes or so. So I'm gonna show you the end product later. So when you broil things, remember it's the top one, and they're gonna come out kind of like brownish, like not burnt, but like kind of brownish, and they're supposed to be that way. So we're gonna switch over to Will, and he's gonna show you the next part of our dinner.
Hello, everybody. Well, thank you for being here today, and thank you for joining us, and thank you, hands up to our sponsors that Jillene just mentioned. And this is the backstrap of an elk, and but you can use any cuts of meat that you want. And if you're not a hunter, you can go to the store and get like a chuck roast, and they come in big packs. And I just cut them about a ½ inch thick. But the beauty about this, like I said, if you went to the store or if you was out hunting and then shot the big older cow or the big older bull next to the younger one that you was aiming at, and but you got a tough piece of meat. This is a great thing to deal with, a tough piece of meat. This meat is not a tough piece of meat. It's one of the choice cuts of meat on an animal. But you flip your knife. If you have there's a variety of different tenderizer things. I just flip the knife over. Quick, it's easy, plus I'm the one that does the dishes, so one less thing for me to clean. Then I just go through and tap it out, or if you have a meat cuber or meat tenderizer, you can use that. And when we're cooking, we always want to be mindful of our thoughts, and we don't want to put any negativity or any bad things into our food as we're cooking. So we always want to be mindful of where our mind is, because that takes away from the labor of love of what cooking is, and so I always want to be mindful of that. And like when we're cooking stews and that kind of thing, we want to be just stirring the pot, not just adding all of our mixed emotions into that pot of stew that we're cooking. So, and to me, I think it does have a profound outcome on the flavor of the meat, because some people when they're cooking, they notice that it tastes a little bit different, and they go, well, maybe you're thinking bad thoughts that day or something. But it does affect your foods, and there's a whole bunch of studies on how your thoughts and stuff affect the water that we drink. So that's a different show, though.
So what do you call this?
I call this my tender bites. It's I pound it so each piece I know it's gonna be nice and tender. It's not gonna be hard and chewy like some cuts of meat are if you don't tenderize it. So I call it my elk tender bites, and that's all that I call it.
So sometimes when we have it, we'll just have the whole steak, and we'll cook it that way. And then sometimes he'll make these tender bites. And what he finds is when he cooks it like this, like, people eat more. I don't know if that's the outcome, but I think just because it's easier.
You know, like normally you'd eat one steak, but when I do it like this, it's like everybody eats either 2 pieces or at least a piece and or a steak and a half of the tender bites, and it's crazy because we go through a lot more meat when we do the tender bites than versus a regular steak, and I think it's all on the mindset too, because it doesn't look like a whole steak when it's piled in a little pile on your plate. So, but it's all good.
What made you think of this, like to cook them like this? Instead of keeping that whole.
Just you know, you just want to try different things for a variety of reasons. You know, you don't want to get tired of just eating the same meal every single day. So it's like I've never had this anywhere.
Awesome.
But it's really good though.
So that's one of the things that we try to do in our home is like try new things to eat, and then at the end we'll like ask people, well, what was that like? Should we add it to the rotation? Like, yeah, add it to the rotation. So this is one of my favorites. So we have this rotation a lot. And then Will's a really good cook, and Will loves to cook, and I love to cook. So sometimes we cook together, or sometimes we cook separately. And usually in our home, like everyone takes turns cooking dinner. So that's good. And then another thing, you know, is like cooking with love. I always say that that's the most important ingredient is cooking with love. So Will, maybe you can show us what's the next step after you cut them into the bites.
The next step is I season them. Then I'll get out the milk and put a little give them a little milk bath before I dip them in the flour. We just use regular all-purpose flour. This flour is from the Sunbird or Bluebird. And thanks to the people that helped get that here too, because that was during this pandemic we got that. Mm-hmm. So that's always a good gift, because it's pretty different when you go to the store nowadays, as a lot of you know, and it's like, so we're just blessed to have friends and connections to help us out and send us things that we need, and we appreciate that greatly. That's one of the next steps is to, and if you're, you know, you don't have to use the flour if you don't want to, and it all turns out really good.
Yeah, sometimes he'll make it and he won't use the flour, and especially like if you have gluten stuff going on or whatever, you don't have to use the flour piece. But the seasoned flour on the seasoned meat is really good. I think that's why it's one of my favorites. And one of the reasons why we wanted to do this cooking show today too is like just to allow a time and space for people to take a break from the news, just to be in our own homes where we can shut off the news, maybe shut off our work, maybe shut off teaching our kids their schoolwork or whatever, like just to take a break, to uplift our spirits, and to just be together like in a good, you know, happy way, and to manifest this love. And we're sending our love out to you, and hopefully you're sending it to us too. I can feel it as we put this into our meal. And especially we have like graduations coming up and all kinds of things, and so maybe some of the stuff that we're making today that you can try for your celebration dinners or the things that you're doing in your home.
Speaking of celebration dinners, and you know, especially during this time, you know, we're social distancing and all that kind of stuff, but we still like to have gatherings and get-togethers, and like I said before, you can go to the store. If you don't have a freezer full of meat, go to the store and get one of the lesser cut the meat and just pound it, and it's going to come out delicious. And use your favorite seasonings, whatever you have.
Why don't you share about some of your seasonings now?
I use a prime rib rub, the wood fire hickory seasoning and rub, and some just good old Italian seasoning to that's what's in my little bowl here of my mix of seasonings that I add. And always have good sharp knife. You know, no matter what kind of knife it is, as long as it's good and sharp. Because one of the things you hate doing is working with a bad knife. So that's always good. Always important to have a good sharp knife. And there's tons of ways to learn how to. If you don't know how to sharpen a knife, go to YouTube, and there's tons of videos on how to sharpen knives. Me, I'm fortunate. The cameraman is one of my sharpeners, so.
We have Shadron behind the camera, so he's the hunter and the provider, and yeah, he was in here like for hours yesterday sharpening all of our knives, so that was awesome. So Will, why don't we go ahead to move to the next step so we can get these on the stove, to start cooking them.
Okay, we can do that. And if you're grilling these, it's always good to start early in the morning. It's kind of hard to grill it, but if you wasn't doing the steak bites, and it just left them whole and just tenderize them with the knives or however you want to tenderize them. It's always good to season your meats before, so that that seasoning can absorb into the meat. Then it just comes out with a better flavor if you're grilling it.
Okay, so you just added your seasoning.
Then my milk bath. What I do, what she just poured me a little bowl, so helping me out. But I just put it all in the same bowl. And all it does is just helps the flour stick to it a little bit better, because with the wild game, it doesn't have the fat consistency as store bought, and that's one of the reasons that we prefer our wild game, because we know what's in it. And then so we just put it in our flour.
So we use lactose-free milk. That's the kind of milk we use, low fat milk. And then he's putting it, so he already seasoned the meat with all those seasonings. And really cooking is about about flavor and making sure that things taste good. So he used some examples of the seasonings that he uses. Sometimes when I make this, I'll just use like Johnny's seasoning salt. And I just season my flour directly, and I don't use the milk bath step. So everybody's different in how they do it. So you can use any kind of seasoning, like whatever seasonings you like. And if you like things a little bit spicier, then add a spicier seasoning. Okay, so you season the meat, you did the milk bath, you put the meat in the flour mixture. And then over here on the stove, so we just have this pan, and we put some coconut oil in the pan. So that's heating up right now. We're not going to put the fan on because it's loud, but he's going to show you this.
Give me a spoon. Give me just stir it up.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait for a pan to heat up a little bit.
Okay, so depending on how much we're making or what, this is one of our smaller cast iron pans. We have a bigger one, and then sometimes he'll even use the electric skillet, like if he's making a lot. But he doesn't just clump them in there. You can see like his care that he takes, like putting all the meat in there. So while that's cooking, we're gonna shift back over here. If my cameraman could come over here, and I'm gonna just make a salad. So the green beans, I just checked on the green beans. They're almost there. So maybe like another 5 or so minutes for the green beans. So one time the Native Wellness Institute had one of our training participants took us to lunch, and there was like 15 of us, and we were sitting there, and he was sitting across from me, and it was really loud, but he told us that he wanted to invite us to go to treatment because he worked at this treatment facility, and we're like, wow, cool, yeah. So we all went to treatment together, and it was called a Professionals Weekend Retreat, and so he like gifted us with this, like for our own self-care and our own continued learning. It was amazing. So we all went to Tennessee, and we went to, it's called the Ranch, and it's this big 2,500 acre working ranch, and they dealt with all kinds of stuff, substance abuse and sex addictions, gambling addictions, relationship addictions, food addictions, like, substance addictions, all this kind of stuff on the working ranch. And we got to experience all these awesome things. And then they fed us, and so the salad that I'm making is what I had over there, and I just loved it. And so this was like, I don't know, a long time ago. I don't remember how long ago. But anyways, it has become one of my favorite salads, and that's what I'm going to show you today. So this is just some baby arugula. So some people don't like arugula because they think it's kind of like too peppery or, whatever. But I like the taste. So this is just a bed of arugula. And my awesome salad bowl my friend Shanoa gave me. So this is a bed of arugula. And then I either will cut up an apple or a pear. And so today I have a pear. So some I already cut up, and I just like sprinkle them on top. And I just simply, cut the edges off of my pear. And then I just dice it up. Again, I have a nice sharp knife. And then, cut them one way, and then turn your pears, and then cut them the other way like that. And so just like, nice bite-sized pieces. Of course, be careful for your fingers. And then I just put them in my salad, sprinkle it on top like that. And I use the whole pear. Well, we make big salads because we have a big family. And this is just, arugula that I bought at the store. People can grow that in your gardens as well. So you just dice up your pear. We have a compost, so we save all of our stuff at the end to compost, and that helps to make good dirt for our garden. So just dice up the pear like this. And this is like, sometimes the pears are like super like juicy and sweet, and that's okay too. This one's like not super juicy. And then I like apples as well. So then after the pears, I have some dried cranberries. And so this is one of my favorites as well. So these are just dried cranberries, and I just sprinkle these on top as well, like that. So the dried cranberries. And so Will and I don't really use recipes to cook with. We just kind of like experiment and make things based on our taste. And then we make adjustments. So if we're making something and we don't like it, then we make adjustments until we like it. So like, I like a lot of cranberries, so I put like a lot of cranberries on. Actually, I'm just gonna dump them all on. Okay, so that's that. So the other thing that I use is pecans. I love pecans. And like, besides the pear, like these things that we're using are like native to North America as well. So the pecans, what I did was I put them in a pan and I toasted them. So what that does, it brings out more flavor in the pecan. See, like the natural oils in the pecan kind of like come out when you toast it. And you just want to put your burner on low. And then we took some coconut palm sugar. It's just actually coconut palm sugar. So this is a different than just like regular, sugar. But this is pure coconut flower blossom nectar that has been dried. So it's healthier than the regular sugar. So we just sprinkled like a couple of teaspoons as the pecans were cooking, and they kind of like caramelize on there. So what I do is I just dump them on my cutting board. And I love pecans in my salad. And then I just like give them a rough chop. So just to cut them up a little bit so they're easier to bite. So I just give them a rough chop like that. making sure that they're all at least, you know, cut in half or a little bit more than that. And then I dump them on top of my salad like that. And like I said, I like a lot of pecans in my salad. I'll probably add a little bit more arugula to this because we're making a lot. We're also going to be delivering dinner to my parents tonight. And my mom was calling me and saying, well, what are you cooking on your show? And I said, well, I'm not going to tell you. It's a surprise. I was telling a lot of people that. It's a surprise. So now you know, Mom and Dad, what you're going to be having for dinner tonight. So I just rough chop these rest of the pecans, and I'll put them on top of my salad like that. And then the other thing that I like in my salad, but I'm the only one that likes it, I like feta cheese. I like cheese, and I like feta cheese. The feta cheese is like a healthier cheese. It's like a, anyway. So, but now I put it on the side because everyone doesn't like feta cheese. Like, oh, you put the feta cheese in. So now I just put it on the side for me. So after I dish out my salad, then I'll put feta cheese on my part, and then everyone else doesn't have feta cheese. So we're going to go back to Will's meat, and then when we come back, I'm going to make the dressing for the salad. So we'll turn it back to Will.
Now, if you downloaded the smell-o-vision that Jillene was talking about earlier, you could smell these and look at them. But they're awesome, and they're delicious. Go ahead and try one. And they're, when you bite into them, they're like fall apart in your mouth. That's what I call them, the tender bites and stuff like that. And you know, like when we go to a restaurant and treat ourselves to a good night out and a good meal. This is what you want your food to taste like, and this is what you expect, and it's really good, and it's one of the joys that we have, and it's just a blessing.
Awesome, thank you. They're so good. I wish you could taste them. And so that's one of our family favorites too. It's my favorite, but I think it has become almost everyone's favorites too. So our family was happy that this will be our dinner tonight. Actually, probably be my lunch and my dinner. Like I want to go eat more right now because I'm hungry, but I'll wait. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to the green beans because I just checked them and they're done. Gonna unlock my oven, and I will turn this off. Okay. So here is the final of the green beans. So see how they kind of, they're not burnt, like they're supposed to look like that. So they're supposed to be like that brownish color, like that. They're soft. I'm not gonna taste one because they're hot. They just came out of the oven. But you can see the salt on there. The olive oil, you know, heats up and helps it to cook as well. So that's how they're supposed to look, that brownish color. They're super good, and when my kids were small, like they loved these green beans, and they still love them today. Okay, so our green bean dish is done, the meat is done, the salad is almost done, and now I'm gonna make a salad dressing. So let me get these out of the way. This is funny because I feel like we're in a cooking show. I guess we are in a cooking show, but it just seems funny. Anyway, so we buy store-bought salad dressings. Like Will's favorite is French. So we'll buy stuff like that, and we'll buy other like oil-based salad dressings, and then I'll also make salad dressing. So I'm gonna make a simple salad dressing today. And this is just kind of like stuff that we keep on hand. And I'm just using this jar so I can put the lid back on and then shake it up and mix the oil and the vinegar that I'm gonna use for it. So salad dressings are like so versatile, like whatever flavors that you like, then you can use for your salad dressing. So sometimes, for example, I'll add balsamic vinegar, and today I'm just using rice vinegar. Okay, it's not so powerful as balsamic vinegar, but I love balsamic vinegar, but again, like everybody else doesn't, so I try to like, you know, not negotiate, I try to, you know, be mindful of what other people like or don't like. So again, I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing it depending on like how much dressing that I want to make. So I'm just gonna start with that much. I would guess that that was probably like a cup of olive oil. So this is extra virgin olive oil. EVOO. All the cooking shows, that's what they say, EVOO. So that's like a quarter cup of extra virgin olive oil. And then now I'm gonna add, so this is rice vinegar. Okay, this is rice vinegar. So I'm gonna add about the same or a little bit more, because I like the taste of vinegar. So that much. And then just an easy kind of seasoning to add is Italian seasoning. So this is just like probably a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And I'm gonna dump that in there. Sometimes I add more because I like that flavor. And then today, I'm gonna add a lemon. And so I'm just gonna, I already squeezed the lemon so it's nice and soft and juicy. And I don't see any seeds in this one, so I'm just gonna directly squeeze it right into the jar. And if a seed goes in there, that's okay too. So I'm gonna squeeze the lemon. And the lemon, like, it provides like the citrusy flavor. It also just adds like a freshness kind of flavor. I don't know what else, how to describe that, freshness. But I'm gonna squeeze this in here as well. Okay, and then I'm gonna put the lid back on. Whoops. I'm gonna put the lid back on and then just simply shake it up. So you just shake until, see, the oil and the vinegar come together. You can see the seasonings floating around in there. I can smell the nice lemon. Okay, so I'm not gonna put the dressing on the salad because it'll make it all wilty. So we would put this on like right before we eat. And because everyone likes different salad dressings, again, like I would just put this on mine. So after you use this, then you can just put it back in the fridge and then save it for, you know, until the next time you have a salad. And then every time you use it, you just shake it like that. So that's the awesome salad dressing. I don't have names for these because I don't name them, I just make them. But anyway, so that's the salad dressing. I'm gonna wash my hands real quickly. And then now we're gonna make a final dish for our dinner. And this is, I don't know what it's called either, but it's just sweet potatoes. So we buy regular potatoes too, but we most use sweet potatoes. And just because it's a healthier option than other potatoes. And so one time, my friend Jackie, shout out to Jackie, I don't know if you're watching, but her and I will always meet, we'll go to dinner or go to the movies. And the place we go meet at, we go to this restaurant. And she's the one that ordered this one time. And so like I said earlier, I love to like go to places, and if it's really good, I like to come home and then try to recreate it. So that's where this recipe comes from. And again, we don't cook by recipe, we just kind of cook by trial and error. So it's sweet potatoes, and there's some sage and butter and a little bit of olive oil. So Will's gonna start chopping up the sweet potato, and so, you know, he'll kind of like use the peeler and just brush off the rough parts, and then otherwise we just leave the skin on because lots of the nutrients and stuff are in the skin. So we'll leave the skin on, and then we'll cut it up into like bite-sized chunks. And so that's what he's doing now, is just cutting it up into the bite-sized chunks. And then a long time ago, somebody invited me to this pampered chef party. Sorry about that loud. So that's what this is. It's like this stone, it's called stoneware. And so I cracked this part a long time ago, but it cooks this particular recipe really good because I'm gonna put the lid on it, and then we're gonna stick it in the oven and bake it, and it just creates like its own little oven inside of the oven. And so after the sweet potatoes are cut up in bite-sized pieces, and we'll make a lot because we're sharing with my parents, we'll put them in the stoneware. And then to help them cook, because we don't want to just cook it in the butter and the oil, we want to add a little bit of water because that helps like the steam, which then the steam helps it to cook as well. And so we'll just add, you know, like a little bit of water, whatever, a quarter cup of water we'll put at the bottom. And then if you want to add the rest of those, and then
as with a lot of foods, you know, we want the presentation to look good, so that's why I peel off all the little blemishes and stuff. And it really does matter when you're eating it on how it looks. And 'cause if you get a nasty little brown part, you're gonna put that to the side and not eat it. So, you know, just cut it out, and it's a little bit, you know, a little bit of effort, but a lot of payoff. And it's really good, and you have less. I always say one of the biggest compliments the cook can get is everything's gone at the end of the meal. There's no leftovers. So, and you don't want to have like 3 pieces of sweet potato because they get those little blemishes on them that no one ate, because you know they're still good, but you know they don't want to eat that little blemish part because that's how we are. That's how society made us. So.
Okay, so if you want to add the last of the sweet potatoes. Okay, so we have our water at the bottom, and then we're going to use our extra virgin olive oil again. This is one, we used to just like use it from the bottle, and then like I like watching these cooking shows and like, oh, they always have these things, that's cool, I'm going to get one. So I got, or someone gifted it to me. Make me feel like I'm this wannabe cooking show host. So then we just like sprinkle a little bit of the olive oil on top. And then the other ingredient, oh, whoops, I put that in, there's water in there, is butter. Like everything tastes better with butter, right? So this is like real butter.
Unsalted version. The
unsalted version. And so I'm just going to throw some in there. I forgot to get the butter ready. So like there's some jam on here, but that's okay.
We use our butter.
We'll put the butter in there. And then the other thing that we're going to add, wipe my hands on my thing, is sage. So we're going to smudge our potatoes. No, I'm just kidding. This is like, this is cooking sage. There's like all kinds of sages, right? I think there's like over 30 different kinds of sages. So this is like a cooking sage. So it's like, it feels like velvet, and it's like super, you know, bendy. It smells like white sage. And so this is what they did at that restaurant. They took the pieces of sage. I'm just gonna peel them off here. So you can grow cooking sage in your garden. And then we're just gonna put like little pieces. We're gonna sprinkle in here. Like that. Is that your phone?
No.
Oh, that's okay. That's not your phone. I don't know whose it is. Anyway, so we're going to sprinkle the sage. I like a lot of sage. It makes it taste really good.
I got some thyme too. If you want to add some thyme to it.
Because I got his time. Time. He's like,
Well, one of the benefits of being quarantined, you clean out your closet and your dressers, and you find these little treasures. And the shirt I happen to have on was in my dresser when I was cleaning out my dresser. It's one of the shirts from Native Wellness Institute from probably about 10 years ago now. And Mind, Body, and Spirit. And that, you know, as with a lot of you know, you've been cleaning up, and you know, we've got to figure out things to do with our day, and this is just one of the bonuses from going through and helping your closets lose some weight and look better too. So this was one of the benefits from doing that. So just wanted to share that.
Good commercial. Okay. So,
oh, and I don't know if you noticed or not, when I got down to the bottom half of the sweet potato, I just rotated it and cut it, because you want to always be careful, especially with sweet potatoes. They're a little bit pepper potato, then the golden potatoes are the reds, and just be, just be mindful of what you're doing and just rotate it, make it work easier for you, not harder. So work smarter, not harder.
Awesome. So this is also a sage seasoning. So this is a dried seasoning, and I'm going to put a little bit on top in addition to the fresh sage, just because I like the flavor of sage. And so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on top like that. So the water, this is kind of like a little bit more clumpier because it's like sage. And so the water, the oil, the butter.
You can mix it up or stir it up?
Nah, we'll just leave it. I might put a little bit more oil on top because you added more on the top. So this is a lot, right? This is a lot of sweet potatoes. So the oil and the water and the butter will like help create that steam to help cook it. So Will, do you want to go ahead and put the lid on, and then we'll put the oven on bake.
And that sage and the other dressing, or just sage, mix it. Smells up the whole house when you're cooking, and just when you come in the door, you go, oh wow, you're in for a treat.
Okay, cool. So we debated whether we were going to do a dessert or not. Like, we didn't know how long this was all going to take, and we didn't practice or anything. And we said, well, should we do a dessert or not? And then my mom kept saying, well, what are you going to cook? I have berries if you want to make a cobbler or something. And I was going to make a cobbler, and then I got a busy morning. I didn't get a chance to make a cobbler. So I'm going to show you something else. And Shailene, I don't know if you can hear me, but if you have the strawberries, bring them back. So we're going to make a simple dessert. And again, we're trying to show healthier versions of desserts that we can make and stuff. So we're going to do chocolate covered strawberries, or a chocolate dip that you can even dip like raspberries. I know we have some raspberries in the fridge. We had strawberries. I'm not sure where they went. They were just there. But anyway, these are dark chocolate chips. And I'm just going to put like a cup of them. Oh, you want to turn the burner on real quick, please? So I'm going to put like a cup of them in the pot. Or like, a little over a cup probably. And then I'm just going to add this is a little bit of the milk that we used earlier. I'm just going to add a little bit of milk in here. This kind of makes like a nice chocolate ganache. All these fancy words, I never use these words, but like a nice chocolate sauce that we can dip the strawberries in. And that's a super easy dessert to make. And then the berry cobbler that I was thinking about making, I always there's like regular cobbler recipes. I just kind of make up my own, and I just make a healthier version. So berries are sweet already, and we want to highlight like those natural flavors, right? Because it's all about flavors. So if I was going to make a berry cobbler, I always make like a mixed berry cobbler. So my folks have a lot of berries. That's where we go pick our berries, or they gift us berries, like all kinds, blueberries and raspberries and strawberries and golden raspberries and marionberries, like blackberries, all these different kind of berries, and I'll just mix them all in there. Oops, you want to stir that?
Yeah.
So I just mix my berries all up, like frozen. So we just put them in a freezer bag and we stick them in the freezer, and so we have them ready, available throughout the year. So with my cobbler then, I'll just put them in the pan that I'm going to use, whatever size, and then I'll sprinkle like some of that coconut palm sugar. So again, the more natural the sugar is, the easier it is for our body to process it. And I'll add like a quarter of a cup. If it's bigger, then I might add like a third of a cup, but that's all that I'll use. And I sprinkle that, and then I make my own like toppings. So I'll use like some steel cut oats as an example. I might add a little bit of brown sugar as well, and then I might add some other kind of like coconut flour or something like that, and then some butter, and then some water, and then I'll just sprinkle that on top, and then stick it in the oven. Like super good. And then even for like a special treat, to add it with ice cream. So I just wanted to share that. Like that's a dessert that you can make. And then for this
And
part,
that took no time at all. It's already all melted, and this is where that smell-o-vision comes in, and it's like, oh my goodness.
yeah, it smells super good. So I love chocolate. Will loves chocolate. And like I said, I don't know what happened to our strawberries. They were just like literally just here. I don't know where they went. But we have raspberries. So
Raspberries are a little bit hard. Maybe just cut up an apple real quick.
oh, he's gonna show it. He's gonna show it with an apple. But the other thing that we can do is, and I actually have a better little thing, but we'll just put it in here. So this is what the chocolate looks like pouring out. Move these out of the way. This is what the chocolate looks like. If you want it, this is like a little bit thicker, so it's better for dipping. If you want it a little bit runnier, you can just add a little bit more milk. I will use this if I make a cake and I want to like drizzle the frosting on it. This is what I use. And then you put it on a warm cake, and then it just kind of like drizzles over, you know, like a bundt pan. I usually make those kind of cakes. So it's super easy. Chocolate chips and milk. That was it. And then if you wanted to do dipped, like you could do dipped. Aren't those cute? Look at,
Fondue.
you can just set them out like that. See?
It's a fun thing for like when the kids come over, they can have toothpicks or else just their own little dipping bowl, and you know, because they always double dip. You know, little kids, I double dip. I'm guilty of it too. And but it's just super good treat, and
It's like super good. I love dark chocolate. No one else really likes dark chocolate, but I use dark chocolate a lot in our baking. But see, you can see how cute those are. And this would be like a simple dessert, and you could cut up other things too. Like we talked about strawberries or raspberries, apples. You could dice up bananas, and then this becomes
and then drizzle it over.
yeah. So this becomes a sorry, I'm licking my fingers. Chocolate on them, but it's super good, and it's super simple. Like you saw, like that literally took just a few minutes to make. So we have our elk steak bites, we have the broiled green beans, we have the arugula salad with pears and dried cranberries and pecans with a homemade dressing, and we have the sweet potato, the bite-sized sweet potatoes with sage and cooked in butter and oil, and that will take probably like at least a half hour to cook, so that will be ready later. And then we made this simple and quick and easy dessert by just melting some milk and chocolate chips, and I probably added a quarter cup of, I probably added like a third or half a cup of milk to the chocolate chips, and then we just simply dip things in. So that's an amazing, awesome meal. One of my favorites. I wanted to share one of my favorite meals with you. And then lastly, too, we just wanted to share that, you know, we wanted to provide just an hour, a power hour that was light and filled with love and filled with goodness, and just like send that out to each of you, and to share a meal again that you could, you know, potentially replicate in your home or change up if you don't like something. So we're grateful. And Will, you know, since we have a few more minutes left, I just wanted to ask you, like, in this time where we're in the middle of a pandemic and we're in the middle of a revolution in our country, like, what are you doing to take care of yourself?
Enjoying the moments of the day, enjoying even if it's raining outside, just enjoying and being blessed with the rain. It's just being thankful for all the blessings that we have, and not worried about the small stuff, and just trying to share that, and try to Jillene has this thing that she talks about when she goes on travels and stuff, where she just surrounds people with love and compassion, and just doing that.
Okay, awesome. So one of the awesome things with Will, so Will's a 2-time champion cancer survivor, and after the first time that he survived, he healed from cancer. Like when he talks about not sweating the small stuff, like he doesn't sweat the small stuff. Like he's taught me a lot of how he looks at life and embraces life and like doesn't hold on to things and lets them go. Like I remember years ago we were talking about something, we had a disagreement, I don't remember what it was, and so way later I said, man, I'm sorry for saying that or whatever, and he said, oh, I already let that go. I was just like, oh wow, it's that easy? Like, well, I can do that too. So, you know, he gets emotional when he talks because like it's totally coming from his heart and he doesn't have any problems with being vulnerable. So it's one of the awesome things I love about you, Will. And then for me and my self-care during this whole time, so I haven't left my home since March 12th. I'm kind of like I'm having a contest with myself how long I can make it last. So these guys go to the store and get our groceries and all that, and I go outside and walk and go check on the garden or whatever, but I haven't been inside of a vehicle other than to clean it. But I haven't been in a vehicle or even outside of our neighborhood. And I just feel like I'm just doing my part, you know, in this whole thing to keep people safe. And I feel good about that. So the things that I've been doing is like enjoying cooking, like together with Will or as a family. Sometimes we'll have a family dinner or we'll have family cleanup times. Like last night, we're such night owls, but it was like 11:30 and I'm texting everybody, okay, we're gonna have a family cleanup time. The boys are like, we're in bed. Anyway, so we came up here and we were sharing stories and stuff. My same old story I've been talking about all week. But anyway, so cooking, just the family time. I've also been beading and I've been reading. I have these 2 books by my nightstand. And I've been looking for opportunities like to take healthy risks and to do things in a different way. So I've been doing that as well. So finally,
how do people like the Native Wellness has a lot of support things at different times throughout the week. How do people find out about those?
Oh, okay. Well, we have different projects. Good question. We have different projects that we're working on with different communities, and we've been doing a lot of like online support circles. And so we've been offering that for even different segments of the community. This morning, I was on a women's support circle, and that was awesome. And I didn't want to like leave there, even though I had to like prepare for the show, just because the camaraderie and just the laughter, the conversation, the healing that happens. We offer a youth one. We offer a two-spirit one in partnership with NEA, one of the local organizations that we partner with. And then we offer a men's one. So if anyone's interested in that, message me, Jillene at nativewellness.com, and I can give you that information. And then our power hours, so these run, oh wait, one last thing before I go into our final commercial. After we cook and after we bring all the food out, like usually we just do buffet style, we'll put all our food out, everyone gets their plates, we go sit down together as a family. That's our norm, like we do that every day, pre-pandemic and during pandemic and post-pandemic, we'll continue to do that. But when everybody gets their food and when the last person sits down, the blessing that we do for our meal is like everybody shares what they're grateful for. And so we've been doing this, since my kids were small. And I think I shared this on the last cooking or the last show that we did. You know, when my kids were small, they would say things like, I'm thankful for my fork, or, stuff like that. And then it's been awesome, as their mom to like even watch their maturity and watch their progression through that. And the things that they say today that they're grateful for is very different than, being thankful for their fork. And I mean, I'm thankful for my fork too. That's a good thing to be thankful for. But it's just awesome. And that's just another way that we continue to bless our food, because we're grateful, And sometimes I get really into these grateful, zones, I guess you could say, and I think about the people that grew the arugula and the people that picked the arugula and the people that cleaned it and processed it and put it into the container, the people that drove the trucks to deliver the arugula to the store, like I get it, like, and think and get into this thankful space, or the people that grew these apples or the sweet potatoes, and I think about the people that harvested this meat, like Will and Jillene, and I'm grateful for that. So gratitude is powerful, and I just wanted to share that. And Will and I are like super grateful that each of you have tuned in, and you can share this so other people can watch. We have all of our power hours are saved on our Facebook page, their Native Wellness Institute Facebook page, where you are now. They're saved on our website, which is nativewellness.com, and they're also saved on our YouTube channel, Native Wellness Institute YouTube channel. So you can go back and watch. Like I said, today is the 75th Power Hour. We're in week 11. I can't believe that. But there's tons of good ones. I go back and rewatch some of my favorite ones, and these have become a part of my self-care. So when we talked about self-care, like the Power Hours, even though we're working and producing or whatever, doing all that kind of stuff, I'm also listening, and I'm also learning, and I'm also being inspired, and so they have become a part of my self-care routine during this whole pandemic, and it's exactly why we're doing this. So we want to thank you. We're gonna start signing off. Will, do you have any final words?
Just to stay safe, wear your mask, wear your gloves, check in on your neighbors, and check in on the elders.
Awesome.
And just be kind.
Awesome. And we're going to be delivering this to some elders tonight, my parents. So thank you again. Tomorrow we have Yvette and Glenn Pinkham, and they're going to do a power hour on traditional medicines. So we're super looking forward to that. And then on Saturday, we start week 12 of our Native Wellness Power Hours. Week 12. So almost 3 months that we have been doing this, and we don't really have an end date in mind. We're just going to keep going as long as they're needed. So we're enjoying.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in and sharing your day with us.
Yeah. Have an awesome day. We'll see you next time. Jill and Will's cooking show.